I was like, this guy, so smart. He's having the courage to put, the gospel out there and doing it his own style. I was like, well, I'm not as smart as him, but I could at least be as courageous as him. Welcome back to episode 102 of the What's the Dill podcast. I'm your host, Pete Dill, and today we're going to talk about the most popular Catholic outside the Vatican. Before we get into that, though, I got to let you know, if you see me peeking over my shoulder right here, it's because I'm watching the New York Knicks play in a playoff game. They're playing the Indiana Pacers, and my attention's on you. I promise you, my attention is on you and what we're talking about. But I am going to have the occasional glance over because I need to see these New York Knicks and what they're going to do. If you know anything about me, you know that I love basketball. You know I grew up in New Jersey and I grew up a New York Knicks fan. Now, the crazy thing is I spent most of my life in New Jersey, been an adult for years now, and the Knicks really haven't been good, and they're finally good, and they're fun, and they play hard, and I don't live in the East Coast. I live in Texas. On the reverse side, the San Antonio Spurs won 5 NBA championships and made the playoffs for 21 straight years. The minute I moved down to Texas, they start doing bad for the first time in 30 years. So I guess it's me. I guess God's not blessing me with a successful NBA team in my presence. I don't know what this lesson is that I'm learning and why he's putting me through this. Why one of his soldiers he's putting me through this. I don't know. But I'm gonna push on. I'm gonna push on through this, and I'll live vicariously through people in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, I guess. But it's a lot of fun. So again, if you know me, you know I love basketball. You know the Knicks. I love the Knicks, and they are a lot of fun to watch. And Brunson and Josh Hart and Hartstein and Alec Burks and Dante DiVincenzo. He's getting the Garden lit right now. So. Always fun time of year for basketball in the playoffs. March Madness happens and NBA playoffs are always great. So, if you're a Knicks fan, if you're not a Knicks fan, reach out to me. Let me know what you think of this Knicks team. If you don't know anything about basketball, watch the next New York Knicks game. I guarantee you, you're going to be like, all right, this team's awesome. I love this team. Even if you've never watched basketball before, you're going to see Madison Square Garden getting lit. You're going to see this team playing hard and fun. You're going to be like, I see why people like basketball. I promise you that. That's my promise to you. So, getting into the meat of the episode, I want to talk about an article and a video I saw, which was titled, The Most Popular Catholic Outside of the Vatican. Bishop Barron. Many of you know Bishop Robert Barron. You know him from his videos, his YouTube channels, his video series called Catholicism, where he walks through the things of our faith. You know him from podcasts like Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro, and other news outlets that he's been a part of. You've seen him preach the faith. You've seen him with his books. You've seen his social media videos. You know who he is. You know what he's all about. And this article and this video was kind of getting a peek behind the scenes of Bishop Barron. Now, here's why I think it's important. Okay, so that's great. The most popular Catholic outside of the Vatican, or the most popular Catholic out there, Bishop Robert Barron. But why is he important? I think Bishop Barron does one thing very, very well that is a superpower, which is he uses modern tools for a modern age. Let me say that again. Let me say that mic drop again. Modern tools for a modern age. Modern means for a modern age. I think sometimes, as Catholics, and particularly a lot of young men, a lot of young male Catholics, there can be this idea that's prevalent. That is, I was born in the wrong era. I should have been back in the 1950s with a leather jacket, slick back hair, driving a Chevy Corvette. Should have been in a different era. I should have been in the 1800s, a Trappist monk making beer and praying all day. Or you see, guys with handlebar mustaches in the 70s. It's like, I should have been born in that era. I was not made for this era. Now, obviously, that's just a fun conversational tactic, and, just kind of something to say. But I actually think it's not helpful to think like that. Because what Bishop Barron does so well that I think is a great lesson for all of us is he uses modern means and modern tools for the modern age. What does that mean? It means that, yes, we live in the information age. We live in the smartphone age. We live in the internet age. We live in the social media age. All of those things, you know, if you're a practicing Catholic, you might be cringing and falling over thinking about, oh gosh, smartphones. Oh, life was so much better without smartphones or social media. These kids nowadays, social media. We can look at the modern age and just absolutely demonize it. We can look at the modern age and absolutely just beg God for mercy of why we were put in this era. But I think that does a disservice to evangelization. I think it does a disservice to God's plan for our lives. Because God put us here for a time like this. God put you in this life right now, for right now. Gave you the skills, the talents to exist and to evangelize right now. So there's this great moment in the article where Bishop Barron talks about, he makes his first video, puts it on YouTube like 15 years ago, and it gets 100 views. And they say, hey, Bishop Barron, your video got 100 views. And he goes, great, 100 views. That sounds good. I'm just glad that we spoke the truth. I'm glad he made a video that was based on the truth. Now, as many of you know, he has, millions of subscribers and millions of views. He has very popular ministry that he preaches on, and word on fire ministries and books. But his thing was not, oh, I want to get my gain out of these things. His thing was, I want to talk about the truth and build a ministry on the foundation of truth. And he used modern means, modern tools. He used social media. He used YouTube. He used media to help promote the gospel. Now, not all of us are going to be called to use media like this. You're watching this on YouTube. You're listening to this on Apple Podcasts. You're listening to Spotify. You're using a modern tool to listen to this. Not all of us are going to be called to use media tools like this. But we are called to exist in this age and to preach the gospel in this age and to not pine for the olden days. Yes, tradition is very good, but if we're pining for the 1920s, I should have been born then. You weren't. God has a plan for your life right now, and I feel like it's not really embracing God's call right now and for building his kingdom right now if we're so focused on the olden days and so focused on, oh man, I was not made for this time. Because you weren't. You were actually made for this time. And how can we do this, though? How can we attune our minds to the call that God has for us in this modern age? Personal relationship with Jesus Christ. We can't fight this culture that we're in. We can't fight this culture that we're in if we're not locking our hearts and our minds on a personal relationship with Jesus. Because how do we fight the temptations of the culture? How do we fight the modern age and these things that, we maybe see as detrimental to our culture? Well, we fight that through an overflow in our hearts of Jesus. We evangelize because Jesus has moved in our hearts. We talk about the good news of the gospel because Jesus has moved in our lives, and then we can share that. Because God has a plan for your life right now, and he wants to use the modern tools of this age to preach the gospel. Now, modern tools of this age might actually also be a complete resistance of this age. So, having a flip phone can actually be a way to preach the gospel. I had a flip phone for years, and it's an absolute conversation starter. I was breaking on a flip phone, and people were like, whoa, what the heck? We all have smartphones, you have a flip phone. And it was like, yeah, this little thing that barely gets calls, barely gets texts, but, gets the job done, I guess. Pretty bad, but it gets the job done. So it's not just about saying, oh, we all have to start a YouTube channel, we all have to start a podcast, and that's the only way we can preach the gospel. No. It means embracing the modern information technology age that we're in and facing that head on. Maybe that means starting a podcast like this, but also maybe it means addressing the problems and clearly understanding the problems and challenges people have in this modern age. We don't have to say, hey, let me explain to you all the reasons why a smartphone is really, really bad for you. Okay, there's probably some really valid reasons of that. But at a certain point, if you say, hey, if you check your smartphone before you pray to God every morning, do you think that's good for you? That's probably cuts to the heart more than 6 reasons why the smartphone is rotting your brain. We can all justify reasons why a smartphone is not running our brain, but we can all answer the question, do we check our phones before we pray in the morning? Do we check our phones before we pray in the morning? It's yes or no. And if we do check our phones before we pray, well, I think we can all be honest with ourselves that we probably should pray before we check our phones. So when we base our lives in truth and speak from a place of truth and always be focused on going towards the truth, we're able to freely live in this modern age and not feel so caged by this modern age. So I think Bishop Barron does that so well. He's able to articulate the problems of our modern age and use the tools of our current society and modern age, but still be based in truth and still be based in everything being directed towards Christ. And it's amazing how that combination can just move hearts and move people to draw closer to Christ. And I know for myself, I've been moved by the videos of Bishop Barron. I've been moved by his media. When I was in the Philippines, when I was doing missionary work in the Philippines, there was this era, this month or two, where we watched his whole Catholicism series, where he just walks through the faith and walks through why we believe what we believe as Catholics. And I feel like for, the first time I saw media being used in such a powerful and well done way regarding our faith. He spoke so clearly, he spoke so eloquently, but he also spoke so personally. I could relate to what he was saying. He was able to just talk about our faith in this beautiful way. And it made me understand our faith a lot more, because I think a lot of times as Catholics, we can be poorly catechized. Like it or not, we aren't the greatest at catechizing each other. We have our core beliefs and we all know, what we believe, but sometimes as Catholics, we don't do a great job of explaining what we do, because we can have very dense and complex a belief system when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of theology. Bishop Barron does such a good job of explaining all of the theology we believe, not dumbing it down, but giving it in bite-sized and digestible pieces of information and making us understand. So I know I've been moved by his work and by his work in media, work in content. And actually, he's been Bishop Barron's actually been an inspiration for me in some of the stuff that I've been doing with What's the Dill and Backseat Media, where I was like, this guy, so smart. He's having the courage to put, the gospel out there and doing it his own style. I was like, well, I'm not as smart as him, but I could at least be as courageous as him. So, I just was like, he's been an inspiration rather than hey, there are people out there who want to use these modern tools to preach the gospel. And I kind of look at Bishop Barron as an anchor of using the modern tools is very good and needed to push the gospel, meeting people where they're at now. So, it's a great article. It's a great video. You can Google it, whatever it's on, the most popular Catholic outside of the Vatican, Bishop Barron. It's a good video. It's a good article. You see kind of behind the scenes of who he is and why he does what he does, both in his ministry with his parish and his diocese of Minnesota, but also in his media work. And obviously I'm very interested in that media, the integration, the confluence of media and Catholicism. I'm very interested in that. So I loved it. I loved hearing more about his process, his creative process, and how it really comes down to a personal relationship with Christ and just seeking the truth, which is Jesus Christ. And that's the foundation for his media ministry. So, I just wanted to take this episode just to shout out Bishop Barron as one of like the pillars of modern Catholic media. He's an inspiration to me. I also think he's touched millions of lives. And so I wanted to shout out Bishop Barron in particularly today because I saw this article and video about him. So if you have any thoughts, if you've been touched by some of his work, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear how Bishop Barron has worked in your life, or what you've thought of his work, what you've thought of his videos that you've seen. I'd love to hear what you think, because he's really one of the true Catholic intellectuals out there who's putting it out there on YouTube and social media, and he's doing a great thing with his ministry. So reach out to me. I'd love to hear your experience with Bishop Barron. A little update on the Knicks game. They are winning, which is very good for me, very good for this house, also very good for New York, New Jersey. Love to see the Knicks when they're good. Love them boys in blue and orange. So that's it for me today. I appreciate you all so much. Please reach out to me, leave a comment, DM me. Let me know what you think about Bishop Barron. Let me know what you think about other episodes, anything at all. If you need prayers, a comment, a question, argument, a debate, whatever. I love when you reach out to me. So please DM me, leave a comment, email me, whatever. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video, share this podcast with someone who would enjoy it. I appreciate you all for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day and spend it with me today. Talk to you all soon. Peace. Bye.